Chris here with yet another electric scooter from NIU. This is their KQi3 Pro model, which in my time now testing it out, I happen to believe is better than the Xiaomi electric scooter 4 Pro. And it is around about €100 cheaper at the time of me reviewing it here. So it has a rear hub motor, 700 watts is the maximum peak output from it. It's got 9.5-inch tires that are 2.5 inches wide. Now this scooter can handle climbs of up to 20 degrees. The weight of it is 20 kilos and it can handle rider weights of up to 120 kilos. The handlebar here can collapse. It's very easy to do so. It only just takes a few seconds. It clips into the top there and you're able to lift up the whole scooter, which is quite convenient. So you can place it in the boot or trunk of a car. Charge time of the 484 watt-hour battery is about 6 hours, and you can see there's a nice rubber cap that goes over where the charging port is, and that keeps it protected. No water's going to get in there. It does have an IP54 rating, this particular scooter. Scooter has plastic mudguards front and back and a lot of plastic trim around it, but the build quality is excellent, very good finish. So our discs here are 120mm mechanical disc brakes. Good braking performance. There are reflectors either side, so there's one right here on both sides and at the front too, near the front wheel. And we do have a tail light which has an LED in there, which is reasonably bright, as you can see now at night. The little kickstand does support the scooter's weight just fine, so it is a 20 kilo scooter, the weight of it, and it can handle rider weights of up to 120 kilos. It has rubber on the top of the deck and it is nice and wide, so no problems fitting my feet on the deck here of the KQi3 Pro. So it's a rear-wheel drive scooter. Other models like the Xiaomi's are front-wheel drive, and the idea of having a rear-wheel one means that you don't risk that slipping from the front wheel. So maximum peak output is 700 watts. So disc brakes with the front. You do have to be careful in the way that you don't brake too heavily on this because there is no ABS anti-skid braking system with the front wheel. But braking performance, as you'll see later on, is very good with this scooter. Like the other NIU scooters, it does have their iconic halo light, so that ring LED, always on daytime running light, and then a powerful front LED headlight. At night you can see it lights up the path ahead of you. It is quite good, the safety we get from that light and the rear tail light, along with all of the reflectors. The only real complaint I have with this scooter is very minor. It's that they didn't use lock grips. So these grips here, they feel nice, but they spin around a little bit, which I do find a little annoying. So we do have a bell for added safety. The brake levers do feel good. This is our accelerator here that does have a bit of rubber on it for grip. Now it won't just work now. You do need to kick off first before you can accelerate, which does make sense. It's good for safety. And then our screen. Now the screen is a little hard to make out in direct sunlight, but I can see it fine, but my camera cannot capture it really out here at the moment. You can see at night though, it is very clear. So we've got our battery gauge, the speed, Bluetooth connection, and if you want to know your exact battery percentage, you can check it via the app, which I'll show you later on in this review. The accelerator has a good feel to it, so it is plastic, but we've got a bit of rubber here for grip, so it's a thumb accelerator. Now if I press it now, the scooter will not just take off, which is good for safety. You do need to kick off first, then accelerate, and you'll be on your way. Now the folding mech here has a little security to it, so you need to lift up this latch and then you can drop it down. Once you do so, you can then drop the handlebars right down and they clip into the top of the deck there. So here is our application. It is very simple. You do need to register, sign up for it. There are some firmware updates for the KQi3 Pro, and you can see your ride stats. We have ride information, so you can see my previous rides right here. So I did 2 rides there, just over 2 kilometers. That was when I was just starting out testing and recording a little bit. And then a main big ride there for 10 kilometers. You can see the time, your average speed. And I did end up losing 31% battery for that 10 kilometers. Now I'm looking at, with my own use here, around approximately 40 kilometers. Now that's actually better than Xiaomi's top end scooter, the electric scooter 4 Pro. So that's great to see that this one, for me, is turning out to be around about 5, maybe 7 kilometers more in range. So it's not a huge amount, but it is good.
and there's a little bit more information about the scooter. So they are pushing out firmware updates that do have little fixes and improvements for it, which is good to see.
So as long as you have a smooth surface, the ride is very smooth and it's comfortable. The handlebar height, I wish it was a little higher for my height, but again, it's comfortable and it's very smooth, just cruising along like so. Now I do have a couple of speed bumps ahead. There is no suspension, so it's relying just on those pneumatic tires, tubeless ones, 10 inches, well actually 9.5 inches, to soak up some of the bumps. And that's going to be dependent on, of course, the PSI, the pressure you run in those tires. So just popping up that front wheel, going over that little speed bump, not a problem. It is quite smooth. Climb test now. So the KQi3 Pro does have a peak of 700 watts, and it can, as they say from their website, handle 20-degree inclines. This is approximately 25, even over. And look at this, it's doing really well. This is better than the Xiaomi electric Scooter 4 Pro that I also reviewed, and I've covered it in the channel. It never got this far. I had to start kicking about 50 meters ago. And look at this, I might just be doing only 12 kilometers per hour, but it's going up this climb, and that's the important thing. And this is where I feel the big key reason that makes this scooter better than the most expensive Xiaomi scooter is it just climbs so much better, seems to have a lot more power and torque. The scooter does have regenerative braking, so it can put back a little bit of that energy into the battery. So I'm going to get up to about 30 from here, full on braking. Very good. I'm really impressed and happy with the braking performance here on the KQi3 Pro. I do again believe it is better than the Xiaomi scooters. However, you need to be very careful in the wet with that front wheel, because we've got the disc brakes. It's rather powerful. You do not want it to slip on you. So I recommend that if you're in the wet, you just apply a little bit more caution there with that front, and possibly just feather the lever too to ensure that's not going to lock up on you. And like all of my tests with the e-scooters, I've made it to the end of the coast here, and it has been really pleasant. So there is no rattling noises coming from the scooter at all. It is very smooth as long as the road is smooth. Of course, there is no suspension. And just going down this, I'm doing currently 30 kilometers per hour. That's about the real limit, unless you go down maybe a slightly steeper hill, or slope should I say, than this. But it is really a comfortable ride. And again, I'll say it, this is better than the Xiaomi scooters. I think NIU, they've really done it for these legal, EU legal scooters. This is probably one of the best you can get. And what about the range you can get out of it? So with my 82 kilos and the few little climbs I've done around here, I'm looking around 40 kilometers the range, which is better than the Xiaomi electric Scooter 4 Pro, which for me was a little under that. This model here is also 100 euros cheaper. I think it has slightly better build quality to it. It's certainly got a better front headlight, which is great for safety, that it's got that always on halo daytime running LED. It's got a nice wide deck to it. It's very comfortable, smooth ride, and overall the general build quality is excellent. Great folding mechanism too, very sturdy there. I like the fact that it climbs so much better than the Xiaomi Scooter 2. I didn't have to start kicking, which I had to do with the Xiaomi Scooter. This one handles the climbs so much better. It just seems to have a lot more power, even though they're both rated at 700 watts. This motor seems to have a little more torque. The only cons for me are pretty minor. Well, the grips here, they're not lock grips, so they spin around. Don't particularly like that. It's very easy to fix that, and I hope that they themselves fix that. The front wheel is something that if you ride a lot in the wet, you're going to have to be careful that you don't brake too heavily with the front disc there, because you've got that risk of it slipping out. So that's just one thing you need to bear in mind, to be extra careful in the wet with any of these scooters as well, because of that system there. It doesn't have like an ABS front brake that the others do, having a front wheel motor. It doesn't slow down as fast as this could in the wet. So it's just one little area there. Apart from that, the build quality, it's cheaper than the Xiaomi. It climbs better. It's a really good ride. Quality scooter here from NIU. Thank you so much for watching my review of the KQi3 Pro.